Good evening. I'm Colonel Trip Billingsley, Director of Advancement at Fork Union Military Academy, and it's my pleasure to spend some time today with a 2017 graduate of Fork Union Military Academy and a 2021 graduate of the United States Military Academy at West Point, Oz Gold, Second Lieutenant, United States Air Force. Oz, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you working us into your schedule.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you, Colonel.
Because I may have confused some people right now when I said graduate of the West Point and an Air Force officer, why don't you expand for our guest on how that came to be?
Yeah, absolutely. Upon being at the Academy, Fork Union that is, I knew that I always wanted to attend a service academy. I knew that I always wanted to be a member of service in our military. I wasn't exactly sure which branch, and that kind of played out to this circumstance that I'm in today. So after getting into both the Naval Academy and West Point, I was at a crossroads, whether or not I wanted to pursue a career in the Navy, the Marine Corps, or in the Army. So I ultimately chose the Army because I felt like they had the most options. And then after experiencing the different jobs in the Army, I fell in love with flying. You know, the first experience I had during cadet basic training, when I got into a helicopter, I was like, holy cow, this is amazing. And then during my sophomore year at West Point, I heard the opportunity to cross commission, that every year they do almost like a one-for-one cross commission where a graduate of West Point would cross commission to the Air Force, and a graduate from the Air Force Academy would go into the Army, and similarly with the other services. And I was told that if you want to fly, it's not a bad thing to pursue the commission to the Air Force. And I was like, well, I know I like flying, so I might as well kind of throw my hat into the bucket there. And after a pretty lengthy application process and board process, the day before graduation, I actually found out that I had received my pilot slot and had the opportunity to cross commission to the Air Force. It's the day before graduation. I said yes, and instead of swearing into officership in the Army, I commissioned into the Air Force. And I just started a week ago today.
Outstanding. The purpose of tonight is to help people learn more about the Trustee Scholarship Program at Fork Union Military Academy, which is how we first encountered you through that program. How did a young man from California become the Trustee Scholar at Fork Union Military Academy, all the way on the other side of the country?
Absolutely. So, yeah, growing up in what's essentially the Southern California bubble, I was incredibly privileged, had an amazing family, amazing education, even, my freshman year. And I just felt like I could be doing more for myself. I looked around and, as much as I loved my peers, they were all just very interested in things at the time that I wasn't. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to be in the military. I knew that I wanted to serve others. So I wanted to actively find avenues where I could achieve that goal now, as opposed to waiting for when I was at an academy. And that being said, knowing that I wanted to go to an academy, I wanted to prepare myself as best I could for that experience. So I began to look at, junior ROTC opportunities, and I came across, military schools. And I also had to almost remove that stigma that military schools were for troubled youth, right? Because at first glance, I was like, okay, no, I'm not going to do military school. I'm not a bad kid. And lo and behold, I found Fork Union, and it looked like this amazing opportunity. Like being a Christian school, had solid values. I saw that every year, they matriculate a couple cadets into the academies, and that was exactly what I was looking for. And then, so I took this idea, presented it to my parents, and they're like, yeah, who's going to pay? You already go to a great school. You have a fantastic situation here in California. That just doesn't make much sense to us to send you out to Virginia. And so basically, as I had done more research and found the Board of Trustees scholarship opportunity, I thought that that was the perfect avenue to pursue Fork Union. And so essentially I saw that you could attend Fork Union free of charge with a full scholarship, having, if you win, on the conditional, receipt of the scholarship. And so I took that to my parents. I said, hey, look, okay, if I am awarded this scholarship, can I go? Can I attend Fork Union Military Academy? And, you know, kind of brushingly, they said, you know, sure. Okay, yeah, if you get that, then yeah, you can do anything, you know. So I worked on my application, my essay, so on and so forth, and I found out that I was a finalist. And pretty much my parents were like, holy cow, he's actually serious about this, you know, and we'll go take a look at it. So me and my dad, we flew out to Fork Union for the board process and also got a tour. And I just immediately felt very at home. And I knew that I was going to be put in an environment filled with like-minded people that have goals and they want similar things that I do, and also surrounded by incredible mentors and even just the other finalists that I interacted with. They were just amazing young men, and you know, fortunately, I got to be to work with them. So after the board process and the interviews, I later found out it was actually my birthday, 2014, that I received the scholarship, and yeah, it was just amazing news. And I kind of looked at my dad. I was like, okay, so like, can I go?
I did my part.
Like, well, exactly. I said I'd earned it. So yeah, that's pretty much the story.
You mentioned the competition day, the day where the finalists come to campus for the interviews. What was that like? Had you ever been through anything like that before? I mean, talk a little bit about the emotions and what that experience was like.
Absolutely. So I think that was an incredibly unique experience. You know, even, you know, if you hadn't won the scholarship, being in a board or selection process at such a young age, I think is an incredible opportunity. Not only that, but going to visit something entirely new, right? So, yeah, never really having left or considered living anywhere other than California to go to an entirely new state, a new culture, new people, like pretty much just jumping into cold water. To me, it was very exciting. I like change. I like new experiences, and I like being under pressure. So it was kind of the perfect storm for me in that sense. And I remember first getting onto campus, like just being like in shock. It was gorgeous. I'd never really experienced the South, you know, if you can, you know, call it that, or really anywhere except California, just being surrounded by trees. And then once you get onto campus, it's almost magical. And yeah, I immediately fell in love. And then of course, going and meeting the other finalists was amazing. There definitely was a lot of pressure and you could feel it, but it was exciting. And if anyone listening, you know, loves pressure, like loves to be put in uncomfortable situations where they can shine, that's definitely a great opportunity. But yeah, I do remember sitting in front of a board of what are colonels over at Fork Union and being asked pretty extensive questions, but that was myself, and fortunately it worked out.
The whole process, winning the award, being labeled the award winner, you know, it's not just an individual's award, it's a family's award. And speak to a minute on what it meant to your entire family.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. So, I mean, of course, like you had said, that it's definitely not an individual award. Even, you know, I couldn't have even been there without the support of my family, right? Like flying out there, that's just in the physical sense. But this scholarship provides the opportunity of a lifetime to anybody. You know, it's non-discriminant in any way. You can come from any background, any socioeconomically or culturally, whatever, and just pretty much provides this launching pad to any individual and their family. that otherwise might not have had this opportunity to have, top tier education. So in that sense, I think that they can bring pride and honor to any individual and their family.
During your time as a cadet, you were a dynamic leader. You were the battalion commander your final year, which is the #1 cadet on campus, the young man responsible for the Corps of Cadets. Did the self-confidence that came from winning this award, was that a factor into the leader you became on campus?
I would say it definitely gained quite a bit of confidence because you knew that people believed in you. Essentially, you knew that they had seen, or I knew that they had seen potential in me. So it's not necessarily that I felt like I had a debt to pay, but that's who I was, but in the same sense, I did owe it to those people that saw that potential in me, and to my family to work hard and to be a leader, essentially. But that being said, to being a leader at Fork Union, you definitely don't need a title. You hadn't need to have won any sort of award. The confidence and the skills you need to become a leader and the inspiration, I think, come naturally through the process. Because when you first enter and you see, like the battalion commander, the company's commander, you just see that, these are young men that are really well off. They're really well versed. They can be put in any situation and thrive.
And speaking of carryover, as you were doing, do you feel that the trustee scholarship experience was an asset as you began to compete for a service academy appointment? Again, another very elite, pressure-packed process.
Absolutely. So when applying to service academies, there are thousands of applicants, and it's obviously the acceptance rate is pretty low. And so you want to differentiate yourself as much as possible. So the trustee scholarship kind of expedited that process for the academies. Instead of them trying to assess how I was unique, I could kind of point to this award that I won, or the scholarship that I won. But yeah, I definitely think that helped with the application, absolutely. And that being said, knowing a couple other trustee scholars as well who have already been accepted to service academies as well.
Yeah, we're very proud of the fact that on the weekend you graduated from West Point. The young man that won the initial scholarship the year before you came graduated from the Coast Guard Academy, and one of your fellow finalists graduated from what's the name of that school down in Maryland?
Oh yeah. I don't know. The boat school?
The Naval Academy. I'm sorry, the Naval Academy.
No, there we go.
So
that's okay. Go Army.
You still got enough West Point in you for that question.
Yes,
not just talking about the trustee scholarship, but your 3 years at the academy. How do you feel that impacted your college experience and the life you're living now as not just a young officer, but a young man?
Absolutely. So on a direct scheme to the academies, I was definitely, I didn't have to go through the culture shock, essentially, when I'd gotten there. Everyone, like during basic training, they had to learn, like all proper like military courtesies, the rank structure, even saying sir and ma'am, for example. So while my peers were trying to figure that out, and how to act in a very disciplined structure as well, I could just worry about performing and being, the best version of myself. So of course my peers did eventually catch up, but in that critical time frame, I think it definitely gave me some leverage. But overall, how I think Fork Union impacted me to the person I am today are definitely habits, good habits, habit forming, because man really is a combination of what he repeatedly does, right? So when I was at Fork Union, I got in the habit of waking up early, working out, nourishing my body, the body, mind, spirit, right? And those habits definitely carry through to who I am today. But I think most importantly, because Fork Union was difficult and challenging, I have learned to I've learned to appreciate and thrive under that diversity. When you lead 30 of your peers when you're 14, 15 years old, and then 100 of your peers when you're 16, 17, and then 500 plus when you're 18 years old. That's an incredible burden of responsibility that's placed on you at such a young age. So you get used to it. Not only used to it, but you learn to love it. So while all my peers, even going into West Point, have really only been responsible for themselves up until that point. And if they were responsible for others, let's say even a class president, that was like, maybe you're responsible for announcements or for events that occurred at, most maybe twice a week. Whereas at Fork Union, you have the opportunity to lead 24/7, which is an incredibly unique experience that you cannot find anywhere else.
Oz, you and your family have put in place a very unique gift to Fork Union Military Academy, which will have your name associated with the Academy long after we're all gone. Tell us the story about how that came about and what the goal is for the scholarship you and your family are creating.
So ultimately, after graduation, my father and I had sat down and really reflected on the experience that we had at the Academy. And one of the things that I had, one of the ideas that I had while I was at the Academy was getting put in touch with past commanders, basically like, passing on some sort of the knowledge that you picked up as a battalion commander. Because when you're junior leadership, you have people that have just stepped out of your position that still attend the Academy. And I thought that it would be a good idea if somehow the current battalion commander could reach out to past battalion commanders for advice and inspiration, right? Because even, when you're caught in the thick of it, if at the time I reached out to someone that was in a position that I eventually wanted to be in, that would definitely be inspiring. And on top of that, in our reflection, my dad really pointed out how the Trustee Scholarship really had acted as a launching pad for the position that I was in. And ultimately, we really wanted to provide that same opportunity to other young men. Because like I said, I could definitely not be in the position I am today without the scholarship, without my family, without my Fuba family as well.
Well, and we're grateful to have your family continue a long-term relationship with us in that regard. Tell me about some favorite Fork Union moments. We talked about a lot of the serious stuff, but just tell me some things that bring a smile to your face from your time there.
Wow, I really haven't even thought on this in a while, but so many things come to mind. One in particular, my senior year, we had a giant snowball fight across companies. And yeah, that was just fantastic. It's amazing. It's like summer camp almost every day, looking back at it, even just waking up, marching to breakfast through what some days are the freezing cold, that's really what you remember most. Going to swim practice, walking back, just really the hardships. You're just with your best friends all the time. Leadership training. I remember formation runs with Colonel Fender, just every minute, laughing in the mess hall. There's almost nothing more than you look forward to in the day, where you get a break from class. You just get to sit down with your best friends, joke around, and so you're not going to go home and, not see them the next day or the next week. You're going to go back to class, and you're going to go play sports with them. And then, you get to go to dinner. But really, it was definitely the camaraderie and the brothers that I made while at Fork Union that I remember most.
Well said. Well said. And I would share this with you as I travel around the country and speak with alums of all ages. they pretty much give the same word for word answer that you gave about the relationships and the experiences and the memories they have, centering around things that may be considered hard in other places, but are bonding, truly bonding. As we finish up, the last part of this is what you would like to say, just any reflections that you would have on your experience, on the impact it's had on you, or what being the trustee scholar and a Fork Union cadet means, and the people that are looking this are pursuing what you pursued. They're going to be the best of the best, and this is your chance to talk directly to them.
Absolutely. So for those of you that are considering or are applying for the Trustee Scholar, I say, get ready. This is going to be an incredible journey, and it's definitely going to be a defining moment in your life when, whether or not you receive the scholarship, but just you applying goes to show that you have the drive, the tenacity to strive in any circumstance. So get ready for the challenge. Fork Union is not going to be a walk in the park, nor should it be, because anything rewarding definitely comes at a cost. But that being said, it's also going to be some of the best years of your life, and it's going to prepare you for the rest of your life. But yeah, enjoy every minute of it, and you guys got this.